So in defense of Ferra, I've noticed a lot, especially with Mortal Kombat 1 getting closer and closer to coming out, that there have been some YouTubers talking about who should be on the main roster, who should even be DLC characters, which that's even more early, making rank and or tier list videos pretty much describing which characters they want to be in the game, which characters have the higher likelihood of being in the game, and the low likelihood of being in the game, or even just a category of characters that should never return and or just be deleted entirely. And Ferra in most of those rankings and lists tend to end up being in the should be deleted category or should be never returning category. And I feel like, why? Ferra is not that bad of a character. Making this video, I actually record some gameplay as Ferra, and I actually really enjoyed playing as Ferra, and I actually liked playing as Ferra. Probably because I like playing as Atrocitus from Injustice 2, since I usually main him in Injustice 2. But it still got me thinking, why? Why is Ferra one of the only MKX characters other than Jackie who gets a lot of hate for no reason? So I got to thinking and I got to researching. And it turns out a lot of people don't like Ferra for smaller reasons, and the ones that I mentioned, specifically YouTubers, their bigger reasons is also... So their big reasons make sense, but let's start off with the small stuff first before we get to the big stuff. For those of you who don't know, Ferra was inspired by Mad Max, their design. Specifically, what they're inspired of is, I'll let the clip show you.
Master Blaster.
Ferra make the rhymes.
You got a rhyme for duck plume?
Round 1, fight!
So as you can see, their big inspiration is specifically Master Blaster. I don't know much about Master Blaster or Mad Max at all. If I remember correctly, around the time Mortal Kombat X was coming out, you had Mad Max 2 Fury Road with Tom Hardy and don't really remember who else was in that movie. But it was their big inspiration for their design and everything about them. And surprisingly, most people didn't really... It's kind of mixed. There are some people who like the design. I actually really like the design, even though I'm not really a fan of Mad Max and know nothing about it. I'm a fan of it. The design, I mean. While others feel like it's very derivative and feels like their obvious inspiration, Master Blaster is just not that good. Some people think it's just kind of a lazy inspiration. That's one small nitpick people have with them. Another nitpick is that apparently, I never felt like I noticed this myself, but big characters tend to be annoying in fighting games, specifically Mortal Kombat games. No, wait, actually, now that I think about it, I think I've noticed this. When I play as Atrocitus, I tend to make people rage quit or, really, overpower them. For example, with an old video I posted here a long time ago where I play against a friend of mine, Tapia Jr., Junior Tapia. He rage quit when I played as Atrocitus. He rage quitted on me. So, yeah, big characters can be annoying. I never felt it personally. I was never a victim of it, but I think I victimized some people, specifically one, as Atrocitus. But yeah, big characters tend to feel annoying for people. And the Mad Max inspiration didn't really hit too many people too well. Some believing it was derivative and lazy, while others actually weren't crazy fans of it, but thought it was kind of cool. Now, the biggest problem with Ferra, the one most YouTubers are talking about, is the fact that Ferra was never really fleshed out. At least in Mortal Kombat X, the only game they appeared in. Ferra in the comics, in the MKX comics, actually got some chance to shine and was actually very lovable. Their adorable relationship with Big Bossy Kotal was very adorable and cute of a relationship they had. And Ferra was able to shine there. But in MKX, they kind of just have the role of the jobber, the punching bag for the hero characters to pummel when they need something to punch and pummel for the gameplay section of the story. That is the whole role they kind of just ended up suffering into. Just the mindless jobber, the henchman. And that's kind of where they ended up falling into, that category of just the henchman jobber. And it really didn't help that other characters that they were henchman jobber with, Ermac, Reptile, Devora, those characters at least had some story significance, whether it's from this game or from previous games. Reptile, Ermac are rich with history. They've been a part of the Mortal Kombat franchise for years. This was Ferra's first and so far only game that they've been in. Which means this game, the game that they are first introduced in, is the game where they have no story significance whatsoever. And honestly feel like they're only there just to be the punching bag for the main player to punch when it's gameplay time. And that's where they ended up suffering. While Devora, a new character who is also introduced in Mortal Kombat X with Kotal Khan, both of them had more time to shine. Devora had the whole double agent aspect to her, where she ended up being the one who would be the trusted second right-hand woman to Kotal Khan, only to betray him and be a secret agent for Quan Chi and Shinnok. Kotal Khan ended up being the new Khan of Outworld, the new emperor, new ruler, and had some time to shine in both the comics and in this game, while also being connected to kind of giving us more on what this rebooted Outworld is like. So, that is unfortunately Ferra's biggest flaw. They ended up being the mindless henchman jobber that most people hated in a game where Ferra was the brand new character in and had nothing to do. Even in the later games, MK11, where you have Geras and Collector, even they got fleshed out a bit more than Ferra ever did in MKX. And that is pretty much his biggest flaw. So in defense for Ferra, they have potential to be a likable and great character, move beyond just being considered the lazy rip-off Master Blaster, and could end up being a good character. I enjoy playing as Ferra, and hopefully in MK1 and past MK1, you can have big characters not be considered as annoying, and Ferra could end up being likable. Hell, in his arcade, or not his, her and, well, them, since, you have Ferra, the girl, and Torr, the guy, who's the brute, have what I consider the most interesting part of the lore that I've learned in their latter ending, which is that they have this symbiotic relationship. Ferra is a rider, Torr is a brute. Torr's lifespan as a brute is short, and eventually Ferra will reach an age where she will grow up to be a brute. She will turn into a brute, and as she turns into a brute, Torr, dies from old age and withers and dies. And then a new cycle begins. Ferra is now a brute who will be ridden by a rider, a new little rider who will repeat the cycle over and over again. I find that incredibly fascinating lore. So I would be happy for them to return and even continue that lore in story, whether it's just a small piece of like Ferra story that they put in the game or actually connected Outworld storyline. I want them to return. And I feel like they shouldn't be as hated as much as they are hated. Now, before I end the video, I just wanted to make something clear here, and that's I'm going to be shifting my channel's videos into a different direction. And what I mean is I've learned I'm not the best at improvising what I'm going to say. And by that I mean I've been trying to do gaming videos. I don't have a proper setup, so I either play mobile games or desktop games, and even then, I do not have the best time trying to talk. I'm an awkward person, so I don't have the best chance of just speaking my mind and just coming up with something to say on the spot. I am better at topic videos, where I have a topic, I have something to talk about, and I'll say it. Also, I was also thinking too of shifting my channel more towards anime content and manga discussions. I've always loved anime and manga, and I'll have an easier time with making topic videos about those. I'll still have some gameplay stuff, but I'll be using gameplay in my videos like I did here with Ferra Torr MKX gameplay for the topic of this video, which just happened to be the fighting character of Ferra Torr. I'll also, out of inspiration from other YouTubers that I've grown up watching and loved, like History Behind a Warrior and Super Horror Bro, I will be making content kind of similar to them. I do admit it's heavy inspiration. I'm not trying to rip them off or anything, and that's making character videos, just like how History Behind a Warrior would make videos about the history of Scorpion, the history of Ryu. I wanted to do something similar, which is me explaining characters such as anime characters. I got a video I'm still editing about a couple anime characters I'm going to be making and talking about, the history of this character from this anime. I'll also be doing manga discussions as well. And I'll also do videos kind of similar to Super Horror Bro, where I'll talk about the monsters and creatures in specific animes. What are their inspirations and the roots that inspired these monster and or creatures creations. And I'll also as well be doing some manhwas as well, like my favorite one that I've always loved for a while now, and just stuff like that. I will also be doing In Their Defense videos. I'm going to be creating a series called In Their Defense, where I'll be mostly defending anime characters. It might at first seemingly be only anime characters, because that's what my channel will be going through, but it won't be guaranteed only anime characters or manga characters that I'll be only talking about. For example, the first episode of this series will be this one, where I was talking about In Defense of Ferra Torr. I'll be making the next videos after that will be mostly anime characters, but Ferra Torr was the first of this series that I'm starting, and I keep saying he, but it's them, but they are not anime characters, so that kind of just shows that it might not only be anime characters that I'll be defending. There is definitely an anime and or anime characters I'll be defending real soon. I'll be making that video real soon. And it's a pretty new anime I'll be defending that I have a feeling people are going to be wanting to rip apart. Only because of just how it's made animation-wise and story-wise. Most people kind of prefer the almost like Oscar-worthy animes when it comes to like the animation quality and story. When there are animes out there that may not have the best Oscar-winning story or like high production value, high animation quality, but they're still entertaining. They're not considered good by the means of the strict audiences who are just like, who want animes more like Oshiko or more like Demon Slayer when it comes to animation, or Oshiko when it comes to story. So I'll be defending those ones, especially the new one, which I will be making that video real soon. Alright, that's all from me.
Ferra wins. Fatality.